On KBC Channel 1, we continue to ensure that you're enlightened with respect to El Nino preparedness. The weatherman says any time from now, in fact, in the coastal part of the country, they are saying from today, you never know, expect El Nino rains. In Nairobi, they say tomorrow, over the weekend, El Nino rains may come calling. And so are you prepared? And where are we as a country in terms of preparing for El Nino rains? This morning, I have the pleasure to have Mr. Thomas Tarus is the World Vision Country Food Assistance Manager. And I'm hoping I got that right, Thomas.
Yes, Martin, you got it right.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
El Nino rains, somebody was telling me in the studio, it practically means we don't have anywhere to hide between now and December, so Anita says. Are we prepared as a country?
Yes, I would want to laud really the efforts made by the national government and the county governments this time around, because there's a lot of information dissemination about the implications of El Nino. And so far so good, because the information has trickled down to the most vulnerable persons in those respective counties. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you talk about lauding the government and saying, well, we may be prepared, what are the yardsticks that you may want to consider in terms of saying as a country, yes, we are prepared?
Well, there is the Interministerial Committee led by His Excellency the Deputy President. The National Disaster Operations Center is on and live, and they have formed linkages with each of the 47 counties, and they're operational 24/7, 365 days, and this is a plus. And they've also come up with preparedness plans, and they have also indicated gaps that probably need to be supported by other key players in this sector.
When you talk about gaps, you know, the other day the national government was talking about, and I remember Deputy President William Ruto saying 5.5 billion have been set aside to really prepare for El Nino.
Yep.
So people argue that it's one thing having 5.5 and it's one thing preparing for El Nino. What are the key areas that if you saw being addressed, you'll say, yes, we seem to be preparing for El Nino?
Well, one is looking at what we are saying the country is prepared. One is that at the county level, we have emergency preparedness teams that have been activated, chaired by the county commissioners and the governors. And this is where the coordination are. The counties have prepared their contingency plans. And so looking at that and what we as World Vision are supporting and stepping in to look at, we as an organization, as World Vision, have made very clear plans and are fully prepared for this. We have presence in 37 of the 42 counties. And
the 47?
Yeah, of the 47, yeah. And so in these counties, we have already worked with the national government and the county governments to be able to support in terms of preparedness. In the flood-prone counties, we have worked to do simulations in terms of what if floods happen, what if there's too much water coming in, what will the community do? So we've done simulations, because simulations is a good way of making a real scenario. So we've prepared the escape routes. We have also trained 31 national disaster management teams that are deployable within 24 hours. We have trained 19 frontline staff in the 19 identified counties. These are the people who will be the first responders, and then they will be able to support the county governments. In other ways of preparedness, we have been able to support distribution of 360,000 mosquito nets in the malaria-prone counties, to be able to address issues of malaria outbreak. We have been able to preposition 3,000 emergency family kits. These are the non-food items in Turkana, in West Pokot, Baringo, Taita Taveta, Marsabit, in Mombasa, and in Malindi.
In Malindi.
Yes.
When you talk about, and listening to you, you talk about, for example, 37 counties where your presence is in terms of preparing for El Nino. You talked about training 31.
Yes.
officers, response teams.
Yes.
19 and all that. Why not 47? Because we have 47 counties in this country.
Yeah, from the information, and I would want to laud Kenya Meteorological Department this time round, because they've been able to even map out areas that will be more affected. And so these are the areas that we've identified, and we have pre-positioned those particular staff. It doesn't mean that we are not prepared also to address this in the others. So the 19 are in the 19 respective counties, but the other 31 are spread across the country with a number within Nairobi. So these are the same people that will be deployed depending on need. Yeah.
And I was looking at the local dailies this morning, and one thing that comes out is the question of, in some parts of the country, that those people being asked, listen, kindly move from this, relocate from this particular place, and rains are coming. And you feel there's some degree of resistance. What is World Vision doing, for example, to try and change this kind of perception so that at the end of the day, when El Nino rains come, we don't see situations where people are displaced and the kind of predicament of Serikali's idea and when you are immersed in the waters, as we normally see in the past?
Yes, Martin. As I said, as World Vision, we're working in conjunction with the county governments and the national governments, particularly in disseminating this information. And with every aspect of change, always there's a bit of resistance coming in. And mostly you find that this kind of people who have are resisting are the people who have no option. But looking at other places where, let's look at Nyando, for example, we have people who have families on the higher grounds and families on the lower grounds. So what happens is that during the flooding, the families on the low ground will move and join their families on the upper side. And then when the flooding subsides, then they come down and continue with their farming. Looking at those actually having a lot of issues in terms of moving to safer grounds are people in the informal settlement, particularly in the urban areas and in the peri-urban areas, because they have no alternative, and the only land that is available in the urban centers is the waterways or places set aside by authority for water harvesting or conservation. And so these are places where they go and set up their structures. And so these are people, when you ask them to move, then they have no option. And so they will obviously complain and say, where do we go to? We have nowhere to go to. Yeah.
And when we talk about El Nino rains, more often than not, I tend to think we focus more on the negative aspect of El Nino.
Yes.
But in countries like Israel, for example, they say that that country has realized meaningful development because of practices or activities like water harvesting, for example. The question of irrigation. Do El Nino rains bring about that aspect of some positive aspects of it? For example, how prepared are we?
Yes.
In terms of ensuring we do a lot of rainwater harvesting, so that after El Nino, there's that what you call La Nina.
La Nina,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to honestly say that we are happy with the information going out, because what is going out is actually telling people this is a bonus of rainfall coming in. We're just going to have more rain than the normal. Apart from areas in the far north of Turkana where it will just be slightly above normal. In other areas we'll have more than above normal rainfall. And so we should start by looking at the positive aspects of this. This is more than enough water. And particularly in the arid and semi-arid areas, we'll have more than above normal rainfall. So what now we are disseminating as World Vision together with the government ministries is that this is a good thing. Let us prepare our farms early enough. Let us not plant the traditional Katumani maize for short term.
Katumani still exists.
Yes, it still does. So what we're saying is, can we plant more productive crops? Can we plant the hybrid that will produce more, because we will have more than enough rain? And in some aspects, can we delay the planting so that it coincides with the peak of the El Nino, which will be in November, December? And 95% of the country will have these rains, the short rains, joined with the long rains in January, February. So we'll have a very short period of dryness. So can we delay that planting so that we can harvest at that time? Can we not do crops like tomatoes in areas where it will it will have effects because of too much water. Can we plant something else? Can we avoid onions in the traditional onions place and do something else? And we are happy because we are seeing efforts by the Ministry of Agriculture, even prepositioning seeds that are viable for those conditions. And as World Vision, we have worked with the communities to set up on-farm rainwater harvesting so that we can harness this runoff water. We have done this in 6 counties. We have done this in Turkana, Baringo, Marsabit, on the upper side of Moyale, Upper Makueni North, Taita Taveta, and Kilifi, where we're working with farmers. So we have set aside structures that will be able to harness this water and be able to improve crop production at this time. We have also seen efforts where desilting of silted dams and waterways have taken place, and we want to laud this because this is a positive aspect in terms of looking at El Nino and the bonus rain. And as you say, I don't know why they call El Nino the little boy and and La Nina is the little girl. So yes. Scientists say that after El Nino, there will be La Nina, which is a bit of some dry spell. And so what we are also telling communities are that let's harvest this a lot of runoff water, and then let's utilize it during the time of scarcity. So yeah, so that's what we are preaching out there, and it's bearing fruits because you can see what is happening.
You talk about six counties, and especially when you cited the question of what you call on-farm rainwater harvesting.
Yes.
And you talked about structures.
Yes.
Let's talk about the structures you're putting into place, because having been to Lodwar sometimes back, and
yes.
I know how it feels being
yes.
to that part of the country, the dry spell, the drought there. What are the structures you're putting in place? For example, are you talking about it in terms of tanks, that if I go to Turkana, I'll get those big tanks? And because I'm trying to picture the flood waters and then our capacity to harvest.
Yeah.
Some sort of contradiction.
Yeah. You know, one of the major challenges we've normally had is on surface runoff water. And so when this happens, it erodes the topsoil, it clears off the crops and all that. So what we have done in areas where it's a bit slopey and water is most likely to move at a very high speed and cause destruction, we have had some terraces that will limit the speed and harvest the water. For those lay people, they call them fanya juu, fanya chini. These are terraces that the fanya juu is to block the water speed, and then fanya chini is to harvest the water. We have also have what we call zay pits. These are pits. This is a form of conservative agriculture where we don't plow all the land, but we put pits on the farm to plant cereals. And then in areas where we anticipate a lot of water, so we don't do furrows that are sunken, but we do raised furrows so that to allow water to go through. And then at the lower side, we put water pans that will be able to harness the excess water that is running out. And in other areas, we have done a slightly bigger water pans through use of machines and through use of human labor. And we want to laud this partnership with WFP and also National Drought Management Authority and the county governments, because we have worked hand in hand to be able to see that these assets that belong to the community are functional and are effective and ready to support in harvesting this runoff water.
When you talk about El Nino preparedness,
yes.
one may say that sometimes we may want to concentrate in places like Nyando, rightly so, by the way, because more often than not, these are areas that experience floods.
Yes.
And people there are victims of this kind of phenomenon, or parts of Budalangi, for example, Turkana, where you say we are going to have above normal rains.
Yes.
But one might argue that we may do so and forget the city. If you go to South Bay, South Sea, that is Nairobi. What are we doing? Have we forgotten Nairobi, for heaven's sake?
No. Honestly, no. And we want to laud the county government and National Youth Service and other agencies that are helping in, because we have seen efforts to be able to decongest the drainage. We have had all this media information going on and also telling us about areas that are most likely to be affected and what people should be able to do. And I mean, information is power. So people have this information and people are prepared. I mean, if you go to the estates, you will find people trying to ask, so what if water comes through here? What do we do? So, I mean, it's not a one-man's effort. It's not just the county government of Nairobi effort to do that. But I think it's a call for everyone to be able to step in and support in terms of how do we manage the after impact of the El Nino.
But of course, I know you are running a campaign, and I'll be talking about it because I have this beautiful T-shirt here.
Yes.
I'll look at it later. But in connection with the hunger campaign you're talking about,
yes.
and now that El Nino rains are coming,
yes.
If you go to areas like Eldoret, for example,
yes.
you have farmers with, say, 6 acres.
Yes.
That is a piece of land.
Yes.
There's maize there.
Yes.
Preparing to harvest.
Yes.
And during this time, when you have El Nino rains, you expect the question of aflatoxin, for example.
Yes.
Are they also enlightening farmers on how to go about with food storage,
yes.
so that it's not about having El Nino rains and then you're incurring losses the other side?
Yes. Well, so first of all, in terms of aflatoxin and post-harvest management, and in conjunction with the national government and the county governments of the respective counties, we have, as well, vision be able to disseminate the same information in terms of early harvesting, because the rains are expected any time from now, mid-October going forward. So for those who are able to harvest this time, they need to harvest them early. Mm-hmm. And government through the National Cereals Board have been able to provide dryers. And also the Cereals Board will be able to open up early to be able to absorb this. In areas like Makueni, we have engaged farmers in terms of how do we do this. And we've even provided hermetic bags that are used to store the crops, the cereals particularly.
Hermetic bags?
Hermetic English, ma'am.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and okay. Silos, yes. Smaller metallic silos that are good for crop storage, and also how to manage other aspects like pests that will come with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
lastly, as we bring this to an end,
yes,
the campaign that you are carrying out, we're talking about flash floods and El Nino rains. This is, I don't know whether my cameraman can get this. Mm-hmm. Together, we can end hunger, even in hard-to-reach places.
Yes.
What does the campaign seek to achieve at the end of the day?
This campaign is coined Hunger Free. Mm-hmm. It's an initiative by World Vision. We hope it will be a global campaign. Yes. Started here in Kenya and our neighbor country, Southern Sudan. It's about youth programming. The average age of a farmer currently in Kenya is about 60 years old. So what does that tell you? It tells you even with the coming of El Nino and the water that we will harvest, we will not be able to utilize it maximum because the youth are not involved in agricultural activities. And so this is a call for youth to be able to be involved, to bring them back into our backbone, which is agriculture. And we want to do it as Kenyans. So as part of the campaign, we are fundraising through pay bill number 525630. And so we urge Kenyans to be able to support this campaign through contribution. We have campaigns like Double Up campaign, where we have restaurants like Talisman, Urban Eateries, Handy. We have several, like 6, 7 of them, that are already participating, and starting this week going on, build up towards World Food Day on 16th, we have these campaigns going on to be able to fundraise. And also we are engaging youth globally to be able also to fundraise for this noble activity. Mm-hmm. And we look forward to having the youth going back, and as soon as El Nino is there, we hope to start the first projects in October, November, and take advantage of the El Nino waters and have the youth produce, the youth do the value chain. Some will be transporting the products and some will be selling the products. So it's going to be a youth for youth initiative.
Youth for youth initiative. Mr. Tarus, we appreciate your coming this morning. How much have you collected so far? Is it in terms of billions?
Well, we will be able to share with the sponsors, those who will have contributed to this. Remember, pay bill number 525630. The account is Hunger Free Kenya. And for more information, you can go to www.hungerfree.org/Kenya. And we will be able to share with them. We will take stock at the end of October, and we'll be able to share how much, as Kenyans, we've been able to raise. And then we will keep the sponsors informed, because we have our global team that will be matching this. And then we will keep them posted in terms of the programs that we will be running with the youth in Kenya.
Mr. Tarus, we appreciate your coming this morning, and we wish you well in your efforts to make Kenya hunger-free.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much. Thomas Tarus is the country's food assistance manager. That is World Vision, and doing everything possible to ensure that they complement the efforts of the government in ensuring that we deal with El Nino rains, and then they're running a campaign, of course, Hunger-Free Kenya, that is, and I hope you're going to help them achieve their dreams.